To you from the book of Luke, chapter 15, beginning to read in verse 11. And there was a certain man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted the substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a famine in the land.
Yes.
And he began to be in want. And he joined himself to a citizen of that country, and sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came unto himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against thee and against heaven, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. I want to use for our text in verse 11 there, or verse 18, I'm sorry. I will arise and go to my father. I will arise and go to my father. I want to speak to you for just a little while along the subject of coming out of the pig pen.
All
or
right.
the hog pen.
All right.
Coming out of the pig pen or the hog pen.
All right, Pastor.
As we look at this story, we find that there was a young man that went to his father and had made it up in his mind that he was old enough now and more mature enough to be able to take the portion of goods that he had and began to live his life the way that he wanted to live his life. And we find that his father did not argue with him. His father did not try and persuade him not to do it. Instead, his father just gave over to him that which he had deserved, or that which he had earned through his lifetime. And we find that as this young man went out into the world, things began to happen to him. And the first thing that we noticed that happened to this young man was that he began to waste his money on riotous living. He began to waste his money upon riotous living. You see, he no doubt had a lot of wealth at one time. And if it ever was something that would open a door for a demon, in many cases it is money. And as this man began to take this money and began to just enjoy life, as we would say, whining and dining and doing all that he wanted to do, soon he found that his money had began to run out. And as his money began to run out, things began to change. This young man found out, you see, this young man had found himself running with a riotous crowd of people. In other words, he was running, that word riotous means to be rowdy, disorderly, uncontrollable, unimaginable, undisciplined, uprighteous, tumultuous, and more to a group of people. We find in 1 Corinthians, though, that it tells us to be not deceived. Evil communications will corrupt good manners. Amen. Sister Jennifer, good to see you this afternoon.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. And so as this story goes on, we find that this young man now has found himself among some people that he really didn't know, and began to live a lifestyle that was not what he had been raised to do. This young man was raised in a good home. He had a good father and probably a good mother, a good brother. But he found himself now among some people that was not like that. And in the world today, we have to be very, very careful about who we attach ourselves to. Like Paul said that evil communications will corrupt good habits. Have you ever been around somebody that had a very bad habit? Have you ever been around a person that did not have control of their lives, and the things that they did, you began to pick up on a little bit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe you was around somebody that had a habit with profanity. And every once in a while you'd find profanity running through your mind, and you would be emulating in your mind the same way that they talk. You would find that you were saying things in your mind that you would not normally say, or coming out of your mouth that you would not normally say. You found yourself in bad company. And it only takes a little bit. Paul said that a little leaven will leaven the whole lump. It don't take a whole lot of sin to get to you. And at these times in our lives is when we have to come to the conclusion that we must say goodbye to some people. Goodbye is not always easy to say. But let me tell you this, sometimes we have to learn to give people a bye-bye praise. Just simply say, bye-bye, I can't take it no more.
All right.
I done had enough of this. I know you know where I'm coming from. I know you know somebody in your life that you want to say bye-bye to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You just hit that last nerve in your life, and you just can't take it no more. But you feel guilty about leaving them. I think it was in that movie Coolie High where it said it's so hard to say goodbye. But sometimes you just have to go ahead and raise your hand and say, bye-bye, I got to go, y'all. I can't take no more.
Can't take no more. Yes, Lord.
The Bible says that, and when he had spent all, there arose a famine in the land, and he began to be in want. You find out who your friends are when you get in want.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You find out who is really on your side when you're in the land of lack. When you are lacking things is when you find out who was really on your side. As Bobby Womack, I believe it was one time, was talking about how that once he lived the life of a millionaire. Spending his money, he just didn't care. But then as time went on and his money began to go away, he found out that nobody wants you when you're down and out.
Amen.
That's where this young man found himself. He was down and out now, and nobody wanted to be with him. He was in a land of lack. He was lacking a lot of things that he had before. The world